Everybody's talking about our new quarterback. Let's talk about what our new offensive coordinator thinks of our new quarterback.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. We'll talk about Monarch Money in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So, Jimmy, Ryan Grubb has come out and made some comments about Ty Simpson. Ty, his being announced the starter has certainly made the rounds. I'm not saying it's a bigger deal than I thought it was, because I mean, obviously being the starting quarterback at Alabama is a big deal, but it's like, I've seen that, ESPN, Alabama rewards loyal Ty Simpson. And I'm like, well, don't put it that way. I mean, because that makes it sound like he got it like Mike Dubose style. Like, okay, you've been here forever and we got to give you this. We know it's going to be a catastrophe, but here you go. And he won the job. Just say he won the job.
Yeah. We live in a different world than the national media and the national perception or even the regional perception. And I think most everyone that listens to our show every day lives in the same world we do. and this wasn't a huge story to us simply because we saw this coming since January. We were very consistent about it, and we're not consistent about it in some sort of because we're predicting it. It's because we know. We kind of know what's going on. And practice number one of the spring, not practice number one of the fall, practice number one of the spring, Ty was the first team quarterback, and that never changed. And had it changed, we would have talked about it here on the show. As a matter of fact, had it ever changed, we'd have talked about it for a month. On the show, like, hey, practice number 7 in the spring, Keelan Russell spent the entire day with the ones and Ty was down with the threes. We would have talked about that for a month. That never happened. So I'm with you. I was watching, I guess it was SEC Network's coverage yesterday, and they spent like the first 10 minutes of the show on it like it was a revelation. And the whole time, I want to say to Peter Burns, like y'all don't watch Locked On Bama? I mean, this is no, I know it's not just I'm just saying this wasn't a big thing for us, and I think everyone listening. I don't think did y'all stop what y'all were when y'all at home when y'all heard this? Did y'all stop what you were doing and immediately text 20 of your friends and flip on ESPN and wait to see what it said on the on the ticker below? I mean, it just wasn't a big story just because. Yeah, Ty Simpson has been the starting quarterback really since the day after Michigan. Frankly.
Yeah, and I guess, again, I get that it is a big deal, and I get that right now some outlets are like, hey, we got to cling on to whatever. I also get that, like, if we or Bama Online or Bama 24/7 or whatever, if they pump it up, I guess I was just thinking, like, ESPN's headline to me should have been, of course they named Ty Simpson the starter. It reminds me years ago, I think it was Josh Booty who was at LSU. And because wasn't he the one that they were, or was it Brock Berlin? Maybe it was Brock Berlin. Didn't he go to Florida and then transfer back to LSU or something?
Brock Berlin did that.
It was Brock one of those two, because they were going to build the Berlin Wall at Florida.
That's right. They were both the number one quarterback in Louisiana when they came out.
Either one of them, it doesn't matter because I think it applies to both. But there was an ESPN anchor that came on and said, I guess I have to announce this because they put it on the teleprompter, but Brock Berlin said he's returning to school and not turning pro, as if there was an option. It's kind of like the way I look at this, like, I guess we have to say Ty Simpson's a starter. But
if they named Austin Mack or Keelan Russell the starter, I would get this, the size of the story. The 100%. Size of the story would be this big or bigger. But to me, it's like, same guy that's been number one since January remains number one until the first game. And we talked about it on our emergency podcast with the little Inside Baseball when our boss suggested that we do an emergency show, live show when the news broke. And mine and your reaction was the same. Like, I think everyone that listens to our show was 110% expecting Ty Simpson to be the starting quarterback. And we've talked about it literally one segment per show for several days prior. So I'm with you. The reaction has been so loud and it almost confusing to me. But at the same time, Alabama's an elite program, a top 5 program, even though there's a lot of Debbie Downers out there, even in our own fan base. Yes, Alabama remains a top 5 program. And when they name a starting quarterback, it's news, I guess. But no one should have been surprised as to who it was. And Ryan Grubb addressed that yesterday, even starting his press conference with a joke, saying, "Oh, I'm supposed to start with a statement. Ty Simpson's our starting quarterback. Now what are the questions?" Knowing that all the questions were going to be about Ty, but Grubb handled it great. He's really, really good in front of the media.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's no doubt in my mind watching him in front of the media that he's going to be a head coach sooner rather than later. He just speaks he's so likable and he's so down to earth. And at the same time, he answers the questions. When people say, "Oh, there's no coach speak," there is coach speak because he uses all the coach words. But you feel like he's being honest, and the answer's not contrived. The answer's not, I can't give too much away here. How do I answer this without giving too much away? No, he answers the question while still not giving away stuff that would upset the boss.
Yeah. And again, I think you're right. I think he's destined for a head coaching job. My hope, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, he's right. But I just want to get 2 years. Yeah. Can you give me 2 years?
Here's my feeling. I do think he's going to be a major candidate for Stanford. Stanford is going to be open in December.
Why
I think
on
he's
earth?
Going to be a major candidate.
Sweet Mother Earth, why would you take that gig?
See, I think people, and he might not. He might hold out, worrying that that's going to start a career down. I'm on an upward trajectory. If I take Stanford and it doesn't go well, it goes down. But look, just like these decisions, just like the players in recruiting, these decisions are about money. And Stanford, I'm sure, would pay Ryan Grubb, let's say minimum $5 million a year. And he's not going to take the job without a 6-year deal, right? So 5 times 6 is 30 million. And he's like, well, okay, I'll go and I'll never win a game the whole time there. I'll go 0-12 for 6 years, and me and my family will live in Hawaii. I mean, it's $30 million. I mean, that's what most people are going to take it for that.
That is true, and I would too. So I mean, why sit up here and be like,
well, because when we hear Stanford, we go, "Oh, you're going to lose." And now a lot of coaches think, "Hey, I can win there. Others won there. Harbaugh won there. I can win there." But the money. I mean, he makes what? I'm not even sure how much he makes at Alabama. I would assume around $2 million, which is a crazy amount of money. But he would probably come close to tripling that. And who out there listening wouldn't agree to work at a smaller company for triple the guaranteed salary? Less pressure. And again, tripling, and it's a guaranteed salary. He could never win a game the whole time he's there. Know what he's going to get? $30 million.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, immediately I wanted to slap myself in the face, say at $30 million. But then the other side of me goes, but if you stay at Alabama like 2, maybe 3 years, and then another job could come along that's even better, like you've completely established yourself. My hope for him would be, do wonders with Ty Simpson this year, do wonders with Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, whoever next year, and maybe one more year just for good measure. Yeah. And then you can walk into wherever you want to. And
look at Alabama's coordinator, Sark.
You could be Dan Lanning.
Sark at Texas, Kirby at Georgia, Jeremy got Tennessee. You can get a massive job from the coordinator, but Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, which is now a big job.
It's like this. What do you? My bet, if you filled Jeff Lebby with truth serum, he'd say, "Yeah, I probably should have stayed at Oklahoma one more year or something like that." rather than be at Mississippi State. And because you look around at the landscape of the SEC, and it's sort of like when you walk into a poker room, if you don't see the sucker, you're him. Mississippi State's like, hey, who's the worst team in the league? Is us. And
of course, with all the problems Oklahoma had last year, he could have stayed at Oklahoma one more year and then been begging for the job at Tarleton State.
Well, see, that's where I would come in and say, I don't know if Oklahoma would have those problems if he had stayed there. It's sort of like, and on top of that, if Oklahoma had those problems, I still don't think anybody would have laid the blame at his feet. I think they'd blame it Brett Venables at this point, and I think he might just fall backwards into the Oklahoma gig. So,
same argument I just made a second ago. You can call Jeff Lebby two things today: the head coach at Mississippi State and rich.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. And again, that's what's bad about that. That's why I hate how much money there is involved in all this, because there's no, like, there should be some pensive moments like, should I take this job? Because see, this. Instead of the answer is always, what are you waiting on? If they fire you, you get $60 million. And it doesn't matter. I mean, there's part of us out there, all of us suckers in the real world, who if we end up stinking at our jobs, we get canned and we don't have golden parachutes. We don't have parachutes, period.
No. You just get pushed out the plane.
We just get pushed right out of the plane. And
here's a helmet, and they push you out of the plane.
Yeah. The problem is it's a Mississippi State helmet. Wait a minute. I was trying to get the little thing going. It wasn't just me taking a long time to laugh at my own joke. I'm sorry. No, this came off. Let me tell everybody about Monarch Money. Hey, I don't have to tell these coaches about Monarch Money, but us, we need Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks or properties or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. You can, I need to read that sentence correctly. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface. On your laptop or on your phone, you can do it either way. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Look, I love Monarch Money. It taught me that I was going out to eat way too much. And I appreciate that, because it reminded me I have several children in college and I need to pay for them somehow. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. That's monarchmoney.com. So Greg McElroy was at the scrimmage the other day. There weren't many people there, but Greg McElroy was there. And kudos to him for being there. By the way, I need to say this about Greg McElroy. Several months ago, there was some costume party or something that we were invited to. And I should put a picture up, but I'm not gonna. It was like, go as your favorite musician. So I went as Prince. It was.
I'm so glad you don't have that picture.
I wish I did.
Like 5 times bigger than Prince.
I'm
bigger than Prince. I'm significantly bigger than Prince.
It was weird, but I do love Prince. And
I love Prince.
Like I had the whole wig and the whole thing and the symbol and everything.
Did you do the costume, or did Krista do
both
the costume?
of us? Sort of. We tag teamed it. Okay. And like I'm just bouncing around, dancing, having fun. Of course, we may have partaken in some adult beverages, and then like we were at the.
I need to right now.
We were at the Birmingham Country Club, and there was also another party going on at the Birmingham Country Club, and Greg McElroy was at that party, and some people like Greg McElroy heard the commotion from our party, and so they came over, and like I think I was about the first person he saw, and we kind of sort of know each other, not really. He knows my brother a little more from golf at Willow Point, but I mean, I could tell he looked at me and goes, I'm so disappointed. I mean, Like, even if he didn't know me, I know
Was
he
it disappointed that you win as Prince, or the
I'm
costume was that bad, or
you.
disappointed that was your choice?
He's disappointed he saw me, like, because I might speak to him. I think that's what it was. But
what
anyway,
do you think G-Mac would go? Who do you think G-Mac would go?
I think he'd play it super safe.
Yeah, Donnie Osmond.
He'd be somebody, like somebody super easy. Yeah, Donnie Osmond would be a good one for him. Like,
and then you have to explain all night who he is. Like,
yeah, or he'd have to wear a name tag that says Donnie. I'm not G-Mac. I'm Donnie Osmond. But anyway, so he was at the scrimmage, and he had some good things to say. He seemed, now look, maybe I'm reading too much in this. I think he was more impressed than he's even letting on, because I think he feels like he has to tamp down. Thanks again, Jimmy, for teaching me that word. He has to tamp down expectations because he is a national analyst and he doesn't want to seem biased.
He goes out of his way not to be biased. And I see, I'm a GMAC fan. I'm actually a big Greg McElroy fan. I think for the most part, I think he does great in a job that I'm going to kind of criticize harshly, in the sense I watch college football coverage all day. I listen to his show sometimes. And of course see him on ESPN. I think he's great in the booth. That's where I think he does his best work, is in the booth. But you could tell that there's some that he's uncomfortable talking about Alabama at times. And I get it. I actually get it. Now, me and you, we're in the great position where we can talk about Alabama and be extremely open about our fandom. I mean, we're Alabama fans. Everybody listening to the show for 2 minutes knows that. We're not required to hide that. He sort of can't come across that way when he's doing a game that's got another team. He did the Alabama-Auburn game. That's got to be really uncomfortable. I mean, it's not the Auburn people are going to be. He can't just sit there and root for Alabama when he's calling the Alabama-Auburn game. So, but we all know who on the inside he's rooting for. So I do think he's in a tough spot. So that all being said, when Greg came away from practice extremely optimistic about Alabama's team, I don't think you have to read between the lines there. I think that's a honest. He's excited about this group. I can see why. Again, it's a very veteran team, and we need to talk about that even more on our show, about how I think there's three. So I always say two because of Quayers. There's three sophomores in the lineup, and that's it. All three are returning starters. Mm-hmm. I mean, Zabian Brown, Ryan Williams, and Quay Russaw. Mm-hmm. They're all returning starters, and they're the youngest guys on the whole lineup. This is a very veteran bunch. People from outside Alabama don't see it that way because they see that the quarterback's new. Ty's a veteran too. I know they're like, well, he hasn't played. He's a fourth-year guy, and he has played. He even helped us win a game as a redshirt freshman coming off the bench. That's another thing we don't give him enough credit. We want to harshly judge him based on the fact that it didn't appear that he was ready to be the starting quarterback, yet he did come off the bench to help lead Alabama to a win that was sort of in question at the time he came in. And
he threw a great pass. He threw a great pass when we needed it to a tight end.
The pass to C.J. Dupree was fantastic. I mean, that was a really good throw, flashing the fact that, okay, the arm talent is there. It just took him a while to gain some consistency. Ryan Grubb said about him, I thought the 2 or 3 things he said stood out to me, but one that he said, hey, this many practices into the spring, we had thrown 15 interceptions. In fall camp, we've only thrown 4. And he didn't ascribe all of those to Ty. But it's clear that since the spring, Ty has greatly improved in terms of ball security, taking care of the ball, which is a veteran move. That's a veteran move. For number one statement about quarterback. Young quarterbacks, they want to make a play. Older quarterbacks, no, I got to protect the football. I mean, that's growing and maturing in that role. You show up a gunslinger, like, I can throw it 80 yards. I want to go deep. Let's run Seattle. Let's run 4 verticals. When you're an older quarterback, you're like, I'm going to make a first down. I'm going to keep the ball. I'm not going to give the ball to the other team. I think Ty is, per what Ryan Grubb is saying, kind of there. And even he's a veteran, even though he hasn't played. This is an old veteran team, and I think that's probably got Greg as excited as anything.
Yeah, and it should. And, I think it's I think that Greg is, like you said, I think he's a good analyst. boy, it's got to be tough for somebody like him. I know a lot of people want to kill him. They don't think he's Bama enough, but I know it's got to be tough for him to do something like the Alabama Auburn game at any time. It's just got to be. It's got to be difficult. But regardless, I thought he had some really nice things to say about this scrimmage. And again, when's the next? Is the next scrimmage Saturday?
The next scrimmage, the final scrimmage, is Saturday, and there'll be a larger crowd there than there was for the first. The first one, the only people invited, to my knowledge, were A Club, which is the former Alabama Letterman. They were invited. This upcoming one will have Red Elephant Club, and formerly Nick's kids would come to that thing. I probably could still be Crimson Tide Foundation. It'll be a bigger crowd, but it's a huge scrimmage because this is where everything's determined. I'm not going to be there. I'm actually going. I'm missing the scrimmage for the first time in my life, I think. But my father-in-law, it's his 80th birthday, so we're going to travel to spend do an 80th birthday party for the father-in-law.
Does he know what you're giving up? That's your gift to him, that you're not going to this and showing up to that. That's love. It's love, Jim.
It's I'm not a fan of missing the scrimmage, but no, this is too big to mention. Family first. Yeah. Too big to pass up. Family first.
Couple of odd and end things here. First of all, I wanted to bring up the John Maeir thing. The John Maeir, of course, quarterback at Oklahoma. Some screenshots, I don't know how they get out, but they get out that he apparently had some friendly wagers with somebody else at Washington State. And John Maeir might as well have it's like you don't rob a bank with a bag with a big dollar sign on it. And you don't send somebody a Venmo saying, this is for my gambling debt if you're a college football player. But if he had just sent him $55 or whatever the amount was, $200, and just said, stuff in the comments instead of anything. He put USC versus UCLA. Look, and and I know that he ain't the first one, and he dang sure won't be the last one to have placed a bet on a football game that didn't involve him, that he had nothing to do with. And I don't see anything wrong with it. You and I don't see anything, especially for that small amount of money that we're talking about. He didn't bet $25,000. This was between two friends that I guess at the time were on the same football team, right?
I think he said they were. I don't recall exactly. I don't recall what he said about it.
The other guy I know was apparently on Washington State.
Yeah, football. I think they were. I think it was another football player, and I know Maeir said. I know what it says, and I know that looks bad, but that wasn't. We weren't gambling. They were messing with me. And
they were 100% gambling.
Could have been.
And I just don't care. And there are people that are saying, well, this may cost him his eligibility. And I'm like, guys, come on now. We've moved past this. And also NCAA, if that's the case, why aren't you having 40 fits that you can place a bet on how many games John Maeir is going to win on FanDuel?
It could be a joke. When Maeir said, like on a check, I don't know if people know what checks are anymore, but you write a check and there's a 4 line on the bottom left, 4. And when I was a lawyer, I was representing a good buddy of mine and this was a business matter and not a divorce, as a business matter, and as a real good friend. And I was doing something kind of smallish for him, and he wrote me a $500 check. And down on the 4 line, he wrote, and I didn't even really notice he gave it to my secretary. My secretary put it in the thing. And when I went to the bank, I noticed on the 4 line, it said sexual favors.
Holy God, Jimmy, I did the same thing. I was going to tell you, I did the same thing to somebody, and he came back and go, why? And I go, I don't know. I thought it was funny. It was funny. Yeah. And he goes, the lady at the front didn't think it was funny.
Exactly. And I had to turn that into the bank. And then, and it's kind of amusing. And then about a month later, I represented him on a larger matter. He had to write me a $5,000 check, and I dreaded it. And I looked and this time on the 4 line, it said a whole lot of sexual favors. So when Mateer's telling a story about, hey, these are just my friends and we're messing with each other, I know what it looks like, but it's not true. My mind immediately went to those checks that my buddy wrote, and I'm like, well, it could be guys messing with each other, but that's really dumb for two players to understand the implications. And it's not like you said, it's not so much crooked, but it's like it's beat into these guys about not gambling and about how even the appearance of impropriety. I mean, it's kind of beat into them.
It's like the one thing you can't do.
Yeah, and to even joke about it was really, so it's poor judgment or but at the same time, I hope that no one's out with pitchforks over this.
Yeah, I don't want this. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I want Alabama to win every game. I'm not going to lie and be one of those people that says I want them at their best. No, I'm fine if they're not at their best if we get the win.
Oh yeah, I'm cool with them having the same injury problems they had a year ago, but this time with us winning, because last time they had all the injury problems and it didn't affect.
But I want it to be an organic thing. I don't want it to be like this is just completely manufactured BS. And why in the world this is out in the public is nuts to me. Like, what person put this out there? Like,
I think you can. I don't know. Believe it or not, I'm not on Venmo. I don't have Venmo. I know a lot of people listening.
I'm well aware.
I know you are. I'm still writing checks, as you know.
Jimmy does literally still send checks.
I do. I use the U.S. postal system to do a lot of my errands for me. But I think on Venmo you can pull up someone's history. If you can pull up someone's history on Venmo,
as long as it's public, that you could make it private.
You could make it private. Okay. Well, apparently they left it public. Which is either, again, more indication of how dumb this was or how innocent it was in terms of why it's public.
It's just so dumb.
That Mateer guy's one heck of a football player, by the way. He's one heck of a football player.
He's great. And again, I don't want him out for this. I just don't. I wouldn't want anybody out for this.
I think it's probably silly and not nefarious.
We're not going to go down this rabbit hole because it's kind of sensitive, but Malcolm Simmons, the wide receiver for Auburn, who's from right here in Alexander City, his charges were dismissed. And of course, there's some cynics out there saying, well, this was bought off, that was paid off. I'm going to say this. I guess, Jimmy, you were talking about getting older. I remember when the Brandon Miller stuff was going down, and I had a co-host last night on my show. I said, look, I'm happy for Malcolm Simmons. If I'm happy is the wrong way to put it. I'm relieved because I don't want this for him. He's a representative of the community I work in and I grew up in. I don't want this to have happened. My guess is something happened, and there's probably more to the story than you can possibly imagine. And there'll still be people out there say, under no circumstances do you put your hand on a woman. I get it. But some of the other possible things that were going on in this situation make me think he may not have had a choice, or maybe he didn't do it to begin with, and maybe it was something else. I don't know. All I know is the charges were dismissed, and you're a lawyer, so you know this well, and you probably have a better reason for this. But I hated the fact that his mugshot's been put everywhere, and that's how a lot of people are going to remember him, because now the charges are dismissed. You don't get to just take the mugshot back. You know what I mean? Right. It's out there. People remember it. But I said last night on our Sports Split show to my Auburn co-host, I said, I want this to be like a lesson for all of us. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and be the Bama cynic. Ooh, Auburn paid off to get – no, I'm going to believe that this thing got resolved one way or the other, and I'm going to believe that Malcolm is still the good kid that everybody has told me he is. Yeah. And I said, but I'm just reminding folks, hey, remember how everybody was jumping to conclusions about Brandon Miller? Maybe you shouldn't do that. And he was like, well, somebody died in that case. I said, listen to me. I said, but Brandon didn't shoot him. Brandon didn't know about the gun.
Brandon didn't strangle anyone.
Right. He and they were like, well, he drove the getaway car. I was like, it wasn't a getaway car.
He got away because they were firing at him, bullets in his windshield.
I mean, I was like, man, it's so hard sometimes for people to separate fandom from like real life. And I'm like, you gotta. Every time something like this, I'm sort of like with the John Maeir thing. It's a little different in the sense that it does say UCLA versus USC on there, and it looooks really bad.
No, it looks like exactly what anyone would think.
And there's no, and I would have more respect for John Maeir if he'd come out and say, yeah, I bet on the game with my friend, and it was a handshake agreement, and I paid him cash. What are you going to do about it? You know, just like if he said to me,
suspend you for 6 games. That's what I'm going to do about it.
I bet you're
suspend you for 6 games.
Well, you know what I'd say? Make me sit them out. What are you going? The NCAA? I mean, they're just going to sit there and shake their fist at the cloud. They can't be a drop.
They're pretty good on They're pretty good on eligibility things and gambling things. And I think my understanding is the punishment would be half a game, 6 games. If you bet on a game not involving yourself, I think it's 6 games. So
all right, one more thing, and but anyway, my point is, if you're an Alabama fan out there and you're a cynic and you believe Malcolm Simmons is a bad person, he's really not. I trust the people around here that have told me good things about this kid. And I think we've all been in a relationship where things are complicated. So that's all I'm going to say. And I'm just going to say, I really believe Malcolm Simmons is a good person. I know he went to Auburn. I don't like Auburn any more than y'all do. Promise.
Less, probably.
Yeah, less probably. But I'm also not going to kill Malcolm Simmons verbally here because I really do believe he's a good kid. So I'm just saying, if you're a Bama fan, don't go down that road. Now, one other thing, we got to go. We spent too much time. I was going to talk about the AP Top 25. We'll do that next time. Andy Staples put this out. These are his blue bloods. Can somebody tell me why you would have Florida State as a blue blood and not Nebraska or Penn State when both of them have more wins, they have more national championships? And yes, if you want to, if this list came out in the 90s,
this is the GMAC thing. It's the GMAC thing.
Yeah.
Because Andy Staples is a Florida guy.
That's right.
So he's got to kowtow to the rival, you know, and notice how he put Florida as just missed the cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of a blue blood, when I don't think Florida has ever been good until roughly 1990.
Correct. They weren't.
They weren't a thing.
They had like
until
one SEC
1990.
championship, and it was what do you call it? Dismissed.
Whereas Nebraska has been a powerhouse for decades. Until to me, this is just some level of recency bias, you know.
Well, but look at this, Jimmy.
Blue blood shouldn't have any recency bias. And by the way, the term blue blood and recency bias should never be used in the same paragraph. They mean two different things.
They do. They're totally opposite. And I would clearly take out, and again, this is not an insult to Florida State, Miami, or Tennessee. I'm not trying to insult them. I'm trying to say, yeah, I would put Tennessee on just missed the cut. And I don't know that I would have Miami or Florida State in just missed the cut. Because to me, blue blood means you've been good for like a century.
Forever. Since the birth. Nebraska and Penn State have to be on the list. I don't know what two you take off, but Nebraska and Penn State have to be up there.
Well, I take Miami and Florida State off, and somebody will go, well, Miami and Florida State were the dominant programs of the 80s, 90s. Agreed. Now, and then 2001, 2013, Florida State won a national championship, and then I guess 14, they went to the playoffs again. But there's been a lot of badness in there. A lot of badness.
Can you lose your blue blood status? I guess that's what some people say. Like Nebraska has lost.
Army and Minnesota have. Right?
That's a good point. To me, Nebraska hasn't lost blue blood status. They won a national championship as recently as 1997, 28 years ago.
Who is this?
Nebraska. They won in
Nebraska. Yeah.
Nebraska won in 97.
Well, in Nebraska, I also want to look up the number of wins all time, number of bowl wins.
Number of wins all time has got to be a major
got to be a factor
for blue blood status. Yeah.
And also, look, I mean, again, I'm not trying to be totally homerific, but I'm not putting Auburn in just missed the cut either. You know, again, are they?
Yeah.
They
would be up there in wins. I don't.
They're like 20th in wins. Maybe 19th.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're limiting how many teams. I mean, I wouldn't include Auburn in the top 10. Certainly not. But once you get beyond 10, they start getting, I think, towards the argument.
Well, here's the thing. I think with Auburn, for the most part, and again, it may change back. I mean, these last few years have really hurt them in terms of their place in number of wins, number of bowl wins, blah, blah, blah. They have historically, hovered around anywhere from 16 to 13. Yep. And I think now, like wins and all that, they're somewhere around 19 or 20. I think I looked it up a few weeks ago, and I'll look it up again. But so to me, 18 to 20, or even really when you get to past 10, and if you're talking about blue blood, because blue blood indicates very exclusive.
It should be.
And so, if you're going to have 20 blue bloods out of 133 teams, when 70 of those teams have no shot at it, it sort of takes away the meaning of it to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think that guy from Spinal Tap literally thought, didn't he have some line that while blood is in you, it's blue, and he's pointing to his veins?
Are you going to see the new? Are you going to see the new?
I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to be so upset if it's just terrible, because I will worry it will affect how people see the original, which is one of the funniest things ever. So, so I've got to give the second one.
See Naked Gun.
I saw it.
I'm scared to see Naked. Was it good?
It's not terrible. If you go in with low expectations, you won't. It's got enough funny in it. It's got enough funny in it. Is it as good as the original and maybe even the sequel? No, it's not.
Well, here's the thing.
It's got enough funny in it.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about the Naked Gun was, thank God we didn't have all the CGI and the whatever, because they were like, yeah, we got a low budget and we're going to make crap, whatever tiny bits of special effects. When that guy, he said, you got something in your mouth, the big tall guy, and he did like that. He said, no, the other side, he did that and a whole banana fell down. It's Naked Gun is just downtown slap your mama funny. And the other thing, by the way, I mean, now that we're on this, and we've gone way overdue, but way past what we're supposed to do. Have you seen Weapons?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
There's a movie called Weapons by the horror director who did Barbarian, and everybody loved. I hadn't seen Barbarian either. But Weapons sounds like the coolest deadgum premise for a horror movie in I don't know how long. And they set it up so well. And I kind of want to see it. I'm not a big horror movie guy, but I really want to see this. I mean, I've heard Weapons is just really strong. And anyway, I can't believe you hadn't heard about it. It's a big deal.
I'll look into it. I usually keep up with horror movies aren't my thing either, so I'm sure that's why I've half ignored it.
Maybe you have to have Venmo to go see it.
I'll never see that movie.
All right. That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.